Hi, this is Miss Ragland. We're going to look at some material that was covered in week one. Let's see, we're going to look at the homework. Now, the unit one homework one was dealing with the graphs from chapter one. We're not going to go through work out each problem, but just so you can look at it and have a feel for. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I'm pretty much going over questions that I saw persons that I thought were having problems with. So I wanted to reiterate some things. This first one is just graph the equation of y equals x minus 2, and they give you the values of x. So remember from the college algebra that if they give you the values of x, then you just plug it into the equation and you solve for the other variable. So that's what you're doing for the first one. Okay, so hopefully that was a review for you. Here, you're matching the given viewing rectangle with the correct figure, okay? And so we have a negative 60, 50, 10 by negative 20, 30, 10. So I guess you're wondering, okay, well, what does that mean, okay? And if you're not quite sure, there is a help tool for you, okay? We'll go over to the help tool. And normally they give you like a detailed information about the problem, okay, to help you to work out your problem. And so they give you a similar example, okay, as you can see, they give you a negative 30, 50, 10 by negative 70, 40, 10. And they actually give you what each number represents. So when you know what each number represents, it's easier to identify which figure is the correct one. So when using the graphing utility, it's necessary to specify the size of the viewing rectangle. So if you have a graphing calculator, you're able to do this. The size of the viewing rectangle sets minimum and maximum values for both x and y axis. And so they actually identify what each number is. So the first number is the minimum, okay, x value along the x-axis. The second one is the maximum x value along the x-axis. And then the third number here, the distance between consecutive tick marks on the x-axis, okay? And so for this is the first set. Now, the second set, what do you think the second set goes with, okay? And so they specify which one. So if we continue, they'll tell you what the second set of brackets describe. That's dealing with the y, okay, the y-axis, all right? So the minimum value, y value along the y-axis, the maximum y value along the y-axis, and then you have the distance between the consecutive tick marks on the y-axis, okay? And so that gives you better details on how to match the given numbers with the graph, okay? So that's what you do. When you're not sure, you go to the help question. All right, here you're just reading the graph, basically addressing questions based on the graph. Now remember that you can, this magnifying, you can increase the size so you can have a better view. Okay. So let me get to a problem that I saw. Okay, all right, here, this, finding the domain, okay, finding the domain and the range, the x-intercepts, y-intercepts, if any exists. This was a question that I saw pose some problems for some, so let's go over this in detail. It says use the graph to determine the function's domain, the function's range, the x-intercepts, if any, the y-intercepts, if any, and the missing function values indicated by the question marks below. So it's saying that f of -2 is equal to blank and f of 2 is equal to blank. And so here it says find the domain, okay? So when we look at this, the domain, so what does the domain deal with? The domain deals with the x values, okay? So since I have a graph, right? So let's look at this. All right, so we have this curve. The domain deals with the x value, okay? So basically, I want to know, now that curve is going to continue to go out, okay? It's going to continue, and it's going to continue along this way, all right? So basically, the domain, okay, I don't have any restrictions here. There's no break in the graph. And so basically, when you write your domain, you're looking at the smallest x value, okay? Now look this way. Smallest x value, but that graph is going to continue to go out, okay, all the way to negative infinity. And over here is going to go all the way to positive infinity, okay? So therefore, the x values, okay, the domain and the x values in the domain, the smallest one will be negative infinity, and the largest one will be positive infinity. All right, so when you do this, it says use interval notation, okay? And so if you're not sure, again, go to the view an example, all right? And they normally have something very similar. And let's see if they tell you about, I just want to see how they put it in, okay? This is interval notation. Now, when you're writing an interval notation, you have, let's do something for a second. Let me go to the sketchboard. All right. When you have interval notation, just note that these are open. Brackets, and these are closed. Okay, close means that it's inclusive. Okay, inclusive. Open, you no bound. Okay, not inclusive. And when you're dealing with infinity and negative infinity, you can't bound them because you don't know what they are. All right, and so basically, and I also tell you that what functions notation, f of x, g of x, etc. They are functions of x, and x is the independent variable. F of x and g of x just represent the y, which is your dependent variable. All right, so going back to this graph, so when you write that in there, you have to write it in an interval notation. So that means we know it goes from negative infinity to positive infinity, and so we have to use we'll use the open brackets. Let's see if we have them here. Otherwise, we just use the ones on the computer. So we can put this one. We can use this right here and put in negative infinity, and then here put in positive infinity, because that's how it goes. And let's see if it will accept it. Let's check it. Yes, good. Very good. Now, the next thing you're doing is you're finding the range. The range is dealing with the y variable. Okay, so if we look at this again, the y, we look at the minimum y value, okay, to the largest y value. So we can see, look, this curve goes down here, okay? But see, this is like the minimum. That's the minimum y value, okay? And so that corresponds to 1, okay? But when we look at the maximum y value, again, that curve is going out, continue. And so it's going, the y value is no bound, okay? And so it's going all the way up to positive infinity. So the smallest is at -1, okay? And the largest is positive infinity. So when we do this, we have to close it, okay? So we had to find the closed bracket. And let's see if it's on here. I don't quite see it, but on your computer, you should have the closed bracket, okay? That's closed, all right? So we knew it was at -1 was the minimum, and then we're going to take that to positive infinity, okay? Positive infinity, and then we will do the open bracket at the end. You might want to use the one on your computer. And let's check it to see if we're right. So we said that the smallest y value is -1 all the way to positive infinity. Okay, so let's check that out. Very good. Okay, so I hope that this is clear. All right, now the x-intercept, it says select the correct choice below and fill in any boxes within your choice. All right, so the x-intercept. So what is an x-intercept? An x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis. All right, so basically we can see that it crosses the x-axis here, and it also crosses the x-axis here. So we have two intersections. Okay, all right, and so that's at what, 0, 0, and then this is at, let's see, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, 0. Okay. Now notice here it says type an integer. Use a comma to separate answers as needed. So here we know we have x-intercepts, so we have 2 points. What did I say? 0, 0, 0, 0. And so we're going to separate that with a comma to put in the next point, which is, what did I say? 4, 0, 4, 0. And this is my x-intercept. So we'll check that. Something's wrong. The x-intercepts occur where the y coordinates are equal to 0 at such points. Okay, what did I do? Let's see. Did I put in a period? I have to make this a little bigger. Okay. There we go. The x-intercepts are 0, 0. Let's look at it again. Oh, okay. Now let's look at something. You see how we wrote it as a point? So basically, look at the view an example. Now it wanted us to type it as an integer. So that's where I failed to read it correctly, because it did not say an ordered pair. Normally they would say an ordered pair, but for the x-intercepts, I think they just want us to write it, see, as an integer. So that sometimes it helps to look at the example. So let's just type, because I wrote mine as a point, as an ordered pair. So they didn't want that. So we just have to write in 0 and then comma 4. And let's see if they'll take that. Very good. So that's what they wanted. Sometimes that's what happens. And now the next one is to select the if they have a y-intercept, type an integer. So not a point, but an integer. So basically, again, we look at this. It only crosses it one spot for the y-axis, and that's at the origin. So we only have one. All right, so we would type in just 0. And let's check it. Very good. Here, now the next one is they want us to evaluate f of -2. So basically this function, what it's saying is, it says find the y value when x is equal to -2. So we can just basically use the graph. So when x is -2, x is -2, 1, 2, -2, what is the y value? Okay, so y value will be here. And so that is at 1, 2, 3. So the y value is equal to 3. Okay, you see how we just used the graph? But we had to know what this meant. So f of -2 means evaluate the function when x is -2. Okay, what does y correspond? Same thing with, let's check it and see if we're right. Okay, good. The same thing with f of 2. So it's saying what is the function when x is equal to 2. So when x is 2, 1, 2, then the corresponding y is here. So that's at -1. Okay, so let's put in -1 and see if we are correct. And so Yes, good. So this is dealing with the function. This is one of the problems that I saw persons having issues with, but that's what's going on for that one. I hope that this has helped. If you have any questions, please let me know.